What is up, everybody? Zach here. Welcome back to Case Digital, and in this video we're going to be answering the question of how to convert a float into an int in Python. So without further ado, let's hop right in and start coding. What up, everybody? So like I mentioned, in this video we're tackling that question of how I can convert a float type to an int type in Python. So in this video I'll be showing you two different ways that you can accomplish this. The first way I'm going to show is using this math module. And to get the math module and all its functions, we have to do this import statement, and that tells Python when we run the script that we're going to grab and utilize some of the math module's functions. The second way is probably the most common way that you'll see this done and probably the easiest. And I want to start and show these two different methods because there may be a time where one method works better than the other. So without further ado, let's hop right in and start showing you the first one. So the first one, we're going to use the two math functions, which are going to be floor, so math.floor, and math.ceil. Now, what are these two functions? Well, floor, like it says here in this tooltip, it says return the floor of x as an integral. This is the largest integer that's less than or equal to x. And ceil is returning the ceiling of x as an integral. This is the smallest integer that is greater than or equal to x. So what does this mean? Well, to show you, let's say that I have a number. Let's have a variable. To show you everything, we're going to do mynum, just to show you the number. We're going to print that out, and then we're going to show you what happens when we do math.floor. And we're going to show you math.ceil of mynum. So when we print these out, we see that it's 5.6, so that was this one, 5, and then 6. So what floor basically does, if you're not familiar with your math functions or whatnot, floor essentially just rounds down, essentially. That's kind of the easiest way to put it. It basically rounds down to the nearest number, or to the nearest integer value. So if we had 5.6, we do the floor of that, meaning we're just going to go basically down to the next integer, which is going to be 5. Whereas ceil does the opposite. It basically says I'm going to go to the next integer that's above where I am. So if I have 5.6, then I'm going to go up to 6. And so that's why we get our original number was 5.6, the floor of it is 5, the ceil of it is 6. And so that's something to watch out for, is depending on where you are. Now if I do this as, let's say as 5.5, this should be the same. It's the same output. If I go 5.4, then this should be the same as well, as far as our rounding. And so you can see there that it's pretty much, even if we went all the way up to like 5.99999, you can see that still floors it and goes all the way down. So one thing to know is that you get enough 9s in there, it basically assumes that is 6. And so it just, as you can see here when I printed it out, it just assumed that this, even though this is a huge precision number, it just basically counts that as 6. Internally within Python. And so that's kind of one of the first ways that you can do this. And then the second one, the one that you'll probably always see, and just to show you really quick, we just changed this back to 5.5, and I put all these types in here, so that way you can see what the types are of each of these numbers as we do it. And so when you run this, you can see that our numbers are 5.5 is a float, 5 is an int, and 6 is an int. And so the ceil rounded also made it an int. So if you're wanting to make it a number so that it's basically like you want it to be 5, you want to convert 5.5 to 5, your best bet in this case is probably to go with floor, is to use this floor option. If you didn't care and you're like, oh, I don't care if it rounds up or not, then, or if you wanted it to round up, then ceil would probably be your best bet because that'll give you 6. All right, so method 2 is basically using this int function. And essentially what this is going to do is if I have print mynum, we'll just do this again. I'll add some spaces this time so that we can see. And I do int of mynum, you'll see that this gives us basically what we're looking for. As far as our original is 5.5, and we just do this int. It's really easy. Don't have to worry less characters of code, and it just gives us the int value of number. And so what this essentially is doing is it's taking my num, which is 5.5, and it's basically just truncating. And what I mean by that is it's basically wherever that decimal point is, it's going to take that and just cut it off and just take the integer value of that number. And like what we did up above, we can do the same thing down here, and we can show you the types of this number. And you can see, so originally our first method, 5.5, int, and then 5.5 is a float, and then we just do our int value, our int function, and that'll just give you an int of 5. So those are two methods that you can use to convert a float into an int. And the way that I tackled this question is essentially meaning that we're going to convert it into an int type, meaning that the type of it is an int and not just 5.0 as it being a float. And so I hope this video is providing value. If it is, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and have a good rest of your day and keep on coding.